Peace. And happy now. Now is the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Right now, I'm gonna share some insights from my little journal, from my I ain't gonna say this is my psychedelic journal, but a journal is a journal, you know what I'm saying? From my regular day-to-day stuff to basically this LSD trip I had the other day. You know, I kind of wrote down a few insights. Matter of fact, to the best of my ability, because one of the things, matter of fact, and I'm gonna just kind of speak on LSD in general. You know, one of the things that what I was about to say. I'm gonna get back to it. Maybe I'm not, but anyway. Again, I just did an Instagram video about what's going on right now, but I stay strong nonetheless. But just about to that's what I was speaking to, like how hard it is to write and take notes while dealing with that energy. You know, like when you on some type of psychedelic, in most cases, each is a little different, but for the most part, all of them are having you oscillate at a high vibration, in essence, you know, and in a vibration that's where it throws off your left brain logic, it throws off your motor skills. So like when you go into write and then you're trying to talk and be logical, like it's just like a little meltdown, like you can't even do it. Like, so to the best of my ability, I always, you know, I keep a pen and pad by me, and you know, because there's some insights, you know, after my first psychedelic trips, I realized it's just some insights where you just have to bring them down and share with the folks, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, an important thing to deal with if you're trying to bring information down, like during psychedelic journeys, I would say working with magnetic hematite or lodestone. For the most part, a grounding stone, but those for sure. Aragonite comes to mind, tourmaline, black tourmaline to be exact, but definitely using those crystals will help ground information, because again, you vibrate now. That's why you're able to tap into these different little you know, the higher dimensions and interface with beings that vibrate on a higher frequency, because you're tapping in. Like, it's exact science. Like when you start vibrating at a different frequency, then you're able to access the vibration that you're on, you know. So if your body's starting to vibrate at a, say for instance, 6-dimensional vibration, then that's what's gonna start, you know, manifesting that, and that's what the hallucinations or whatever you seeing is like. You seeing those dimensions in essence to a certain extent, because it's a balanced vibe of, like, you know, depending on, you know, you may be getting a projection of what's going on inside of you. Now that mostly is happening whenever your eyes is closed. Like if you, especially like with DMT, like that's more so of an inner journey. Like the other ones are, but not as much as like DMT is almost like showing you what's going on inside your inner, you know, your inner universe, and showing you that the universe, or, you know, everything is within you. You know what I'm saying? It's just coming out and playing as a little movie on the back of your eyelids, because again, your eyes closed, so you know you're getting visuals on that level. But you know, definitely again, I lost where I was going. It's almost like a prestigious vibe. Like once I saw the type of people that lose their track of thought, like, you know, like when they talking on this information and stuff like this and going in, it's like, wait, hold on, what we was just talking about? Like, I'm in good company with that situation now, and I'm grateful for being able to be shown that, because as a little overcritical person, you know, that I could be like over judgmental on myself. It was pretty good to see that it wasn't just me dealing with that a lot of people who you deal with channeling information or bringing information down. They all kind of had those little moments, you know. For a second, honestly, I keep it real. For a second, I thought it was maybe other than other things, dealing with source and higher self. Like I was thinking that it was my old Sherm days coming back to haunt me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, that can't be happening. Smoking the quote unquote Sherms or angel dust. It's basically like taking the liquid and letting it dry. But yeah, of course, do not. I don't suggest that for anybody. But at the same time, I'm not on either sides of that situation. To each his own on your experience. But I wouldn't suggest it. But because the reason why I gotta be neutral on that vibe, because somebody would have told me, hey, don't try that and this and that. But I had a different mission in life. I was here to experience all these different things, and go through different experiences. So I was gonna do it regard, So that's why, as much as I say, I don't suggest it, it's not up to me at the end of the day. But definitely, I know it's for the people I'm talking to right now. Unless you knew and still doing those type of things, of course we not dipping into those waters, so to speak. One of the first little realizations, being in the water, because I was out in Venice in the beach, and I went in the water, and as they had as I was going deeper and a bigger wave was crashing at me, something was like at first kind of being like, oh, preparing for it. And then the thought was like, bro, why are you being scared of this wave? This wave is you. You are the things that all around you. So to be scared of something, is ridiculous. Now, of course, I also got that vibe just now. Well, of course, we're going to have to a certain extent, we don't go and do things that's going to just cause our body to, or cause us to transition out of our body just on some willy-nilly stuff. So, say for instance, just because I know I'm one with the ocean, that doesn't mean that I was just gonna get up and decide to go. Let's just say that the waters were shark infested and that, like just go into the big waves and go swim into a crowd of sharks. You know what I'm saying? Which I feel like that is possible if you vibrating on a high enough frequency. Those sharks not even gonna catch the vibe to see you as food. Like a reason why like a lot of people don't get eaten by those types of animals that are known for eating people and stuff like that in a lot of those situations is because they carry a certain vibration, like that animal could feel like, all right, nah, it's like almost like biting God in essence. Like that animal could almost feel like, nah, I don't want to not that body, not that being. There's something different about that one, you know what I'm saying? That one might be the reason why I get saved on a whole nother level, you know what I'm saying? So, but definitely that aspect of just like, well, again, like being spooked by the wave and seeing that, like catching that thought, like, bro, you being scared of yourself right now. And it was like, and two, I'm gonna be reading from my notes to a certain extent, so I'm gonna have those little moments. I'm gonna sound like the kid that can't read in class, because sometimes my cursive writing, especially dealing with being on a trip or whatever, being on a psychedelic, it's kind of hard to read at times. But yeah, basically I just said like, oh, it's only me. But I like the types of little things, little double entendre type of vibe, like it's only me. The wave is only like, like, hey, man, it's only me. Yeah, only me, but in everything, me, everything. What else? And this is another thing too. This is gonna be a little bit random, because again, whatever the download is, no matter where it come from, whatever, I just like, oh, all right, this seemed like something that I should, write down or whatever. But basically, if you're having problems, like having children, like the people that's struggling with and I call the download is just one of the many reasons. Like I say, this is the reason for the majority of people, but everybody still may have a unique situation dealing with that, as far as like why they're having trouble, like having children, like what whether it's the male sperm not strong enough or the female eggs or whatever the case may be. It's just always some type of trouble dealing with, you trying to have a kid. And I call that the vibe of, because in a past life you didn't honor your parenthood on a high enough level. Like in a past life you was probably the person that, threw the baby in the dumpster or, abuse your kid. But some situation where it's like, all right, come back around, like you're gonna have that lesson of, of not even being able to have a kid, in the first place. And karma doesn't work like that directly all the time. It's not like, all right, you did this, so it comes back around. It's your own judgment. So it's like, if you abuse your children or whatever, you may judge yourself and be like, in the afterlife, judge yourself and say, you know what, man, fuck that. I'm in this next lifetime, I'm gonna do without kids, to learn that lesson from what I did in that other lifetime. You know what I'm saying? It's all, in essence, your own vibes, all is thought. So if your subconscious program to, I ain't gonna say like that, but I'm gonna say, because if you're still in those stages of thinking like you gotta, have a certain type of lesson, I mean, you're meant to a certain extent. Because like say for right now is the time to make your subconscious know, like, all right, hey, clear all this little karma, realize that none of this shit is real, so your soul could go to the next level, Oh, all right. I was laying on the beach and it had like this little tour group of people that was probably from another country, and they sitting there like, all right, beach, this and that, just the little normal tour guide stuff, like, hey y'all, the bathroom's over here, this and that. But I caught the vibe of how not only in that beach area, but how Earth is like a new grounds for a lot of different beings. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, a lot of beings are like tourists to Earth. I definitely caught that vibe, which I'm gonna get into that later again. In another type of vibe where I felt that vibe again strongly as well. But it definitely had like that, just feeling like Earth is like this little place where different beings, not only is a stage of where a lot of beings is watching what's going down like a movie, but also where they like just coming and visiting, and those, not to say those people on the beach were actually, you know what I'm saying, because we all different beings, from all over the place, which I'm gonna get into that Men in Black aspect, again, that fact, and I'm gonna just go to the next part, I also had a reading, again, another random thought, but I caught the vibe of how, like, some of the Hispanic, Latino people, as long as they feel like they're separate from their melanin, like, and it's with anybody, you know what I'm saying, like, no matter what, because even if you're white, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, like, I've seen people on different walks of life have a certain respect for whether they have a lot of melanin or just a little bit, but they have a certain respect for the melanin that they have in their body and the roots of, indigenous and melanated people, because they know that indirectly, that's their roots. If the only person that can make an albino person is a black person, we all know that, for the most part on the human level, that we all have common roots in that essence. So I just thought about like how simply by just denying the melanin within yourself, like how some people just still like, well, like some of the Hispanic people treat me like I'm like amazed by when this energy is within themselves, but because they're not tapping into it, because matter of fact, because they see melanin as something outside of them, then that's how they treat a melanated person or somebody who's raising that energy within themselves. It's like, oh, look, like being amazed by something that's inside of them, but because they don't know it, it's like, oh, look at that, like, like outside of them. So like that was like a little, interesting aspect to feel that vibe, and again, that's for all people, because you got people of all walks of life, you know, that don't embrace their melanin, that do. You know, you got some black people that's blacker than this you know, blacker than my shirt and don't embrace their melanin. So, you know, it's different strokes for different folks. And again, by not embracing it, it's almost like something outside of you. So even like what somebody would call an African American, like a black person, like could come across somebody who embraces their melanin, like say if they don't embrace their melanin and they come across somebody that do, they're like, you know, it's still like, oh, look at him wearing that, you know, this cultured stuff and, you know, this sacred geometry stuff, like, oh, that's cool, you know what I'm saying? Like it's something that's not a part of them, you know what I'm saying? But on to the next realization. Of course, feeling energies, you're very sensitive to energies when you're dealing with psychedelics, especially LSD. You're very sensitive to, matter of fact, I say out of most, no, I mean all of them pretty good with this as far as like the telepathic energies, but like you definitely feel like people's little thought forms, like, you know, little energies of what they're thinking about, you know, what they're feeling in essence. But like while I was on the beach laying out in the sun, you know, catching a vibe, and I definitely have a unique look to myself, and I'm out there with my crystals. But and what was real cool about this situation though, it just had again like this tour guide vibe and just a flooding of a bunch of people that wasn't from America, you know, people with foreign languages, and like I could still feel them like talking about me, which was pretty cool, you know. And you hear a few little words, like if you're real adept at just picking up on stuff, you know, you'll catch like little small little words, and the way they say it is like almost like, hey, like Bob Marley, you know, like you hear everything and it's like Bob Marley, you know what I'm saying? Like you catch that vibe, but you definitely could hear him, you know, just within the feeling of it, you know what I'm saying? You could feel a vibe.
I mean, the bother with you, could you use or something?
Oh wait, just 1 second, y'all. Nah, I gotta finish this video, but nah. You good, my brother? What I was talking about. It's like everybody. Oh, yeah, like where I could feel the people, like, you know, pointing and talking about me, you know what I'm saying? Even though they were speaking in a language that I didn't, you know, as a human, I couldn't understand. And again, we are souls that existed way before any of these languages that most people speaking right now, you know, unless some people are speaking straight up, you know, and this is some of the eldest languages, but not, you know, still compared to the vibe of us just communicating through feelings, you know, through vibrations, you know, through, matter of fact, where we used to kind of put symbols and pictures in each other's minds, in essence, you know. Like if I want to tell you something about going walk down the street, I'm gonna send you the picture of us walking down the street in the mind, you know, and I'm not gonna actually like say, hey, let's go walk down the street in any language. Like we used to communicate through, you know, through the vibrations of feelings and emotions, and through the vibrations of visualizations, you know. A telepathic message wasn't necessarily a message of words as much as it was a message of symbols. Again, that's why I subconscious dig in on symbols so highly, you know. Another, again, just bouncing around the different thoughts. You know, Hollywood is like a big ass bug zapper that will only zap you depending on how you interface with the energy. You know, attracting stars to use their energy. You know, so I caught that vibe of how, like, you know, how, of course, LA in general, but like Hollywood, you know, it's just that vibe, like, just like a light, you know, that attracts all the stars, like all the light beams, you know what I'm saying? Like Hollywood indirectly know the esoteric occult study of knowing that we are all of, like a lot of us are walking constellation, like different gods and different stars, you know, or maybe even different planets or galaxies, just to say, you know, that's just to say. But they know this, so they have this vibe, even down to having your Hollywood star, like, and everything's about stars, you know. It's to appeal to those light beings, you know what I'm saying, who's here to, to, again, I mean, we're all here to have experience, but a lot of us are really, here to be that star, to let our light burn, you know what I'm saying? Because what's a star if it's not letting its, light burn and its light flow, you think about burn, I mean, it got to go out. I mean, it never dies, so when it does die, it's transforming. When the caterpillar dies, a butterfly is born, you know what I'm saying? So to see it as like, oh, well, burning out. Nah, it's not burning out, it's just being that star in that moment. But anyway, how Hollywood attracts that energy, and if a quote-unquote star entertainer is not careful, that energy could be used in a, for lack of a better word, in an unrighteous manner, because again, that's why I say for lack of a better word. Whenever I say that, I mean what I say, for lack of a better word, because righteous don't really, there's no wrong or right situation. Like an unrighteous situation may be righteous in the essence where, say for instance, slavery was unrighteous, but slavery woke up certain people to be quote unquote righteous. So righteous, unrighteous, you know what I'm saying? Like tomato, that's all perception, that's all like, how you choose to look at it type of vibe. Not necessarily it having like, all right, it is good or it is bad. Like, it's none of that, All right. Another little random one in essence, but basically, I put it's a very prime time spot to have an advertisement flash across, the sky, in Venice. And the reason why I brought that up, I was laying down, and, they had this airplane with one of those big ass advertisements on the back, and I just looked at how many people was on the beach, and, like, how LA, in general had a lot of people all over the country out there, to a lot of people, again, we're Hollywood out here, so this place is just always being filmed, and, and just how much of a subconscious programming it was. Because, matter of fact, the sign was something about not going bald or something like that. And I just thought about how, indirectly it was kind of fear-mongering people's subconscious into worrying about their hair falling out or whatever the case may be. But I was like, damn, that's a nice prime time spot. Too, on another level, I was like, it would be pretty cool for somebody, that's raising vibrations to get them a little slot, advertisement slot on the back of that plane. Matter of fact, on a Saturday in the summertime in Venice, and display a certain message to the people, on a mass scale. But I kind of, I guess, took note of that because I just realized how important that little advertisement was. And important, not saying good or bad, but to programming somebody's subconscious, I'm like, damn, like that, because even down to with me remembering that sign was about people balding or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, got in my subconscious, and I wasn't trying to, I got dreads and don't care about my hair falling out or none of that, but yet I still have that image stamped in my head, so again, showing you the importance of subconscious programming and putting it in a certain place, it's really strong. Now this is the next level of vibes, like a real, like, how can I say, these are the types of downloads I look for and the type of interactions I look for when I'm dealing with psychedelics. But just to start off, I caught the download in essence that Venice, it may be other spots, but just where I was and in that moment and the vibe I was feeling, Venice is like a Ellis Island for extraterrestrial beings, So a lot of, extraterrestrial beings come, how can I say, they interface or come down and kind of like the situation where, like for Halloween, how that, Halloween you wear masks so that ancestors would be able to come down in their regular form because everybody dressed up, so nobody would be seen as a ghost or a ghoul type of vibe. Where it's like so many different, vibrations in Venice, you know what I'm saying? So much going on, they're able to like come down and be in the mix, But like, I definitely caught like how the Venice Beach area is definitely like like a Ellis Island for extraterrestrials. And I say extraterrestrials, extraterrestrials, intraterrestrials, just different beings that may not all have their origins from here on Earth. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of origins here on Earth, you know what I'm saying? As above, so below. I would feel like, you know, just like we have holes in the body, a mouth, and you know how it have vaginas or penises, pee holes, and the anus, all this. You know what I'm saying? The Earth should have some of the same vibes to it as well. You know, and thinking about like the beings that would you know, some beings that would be from the inner Earth, just like how, you know, a woman gets pregnant and births something. They may and I've heard one person talk about this again, but you know, this is just me kind of randomly going into this, but again, like what like Earth birthing the original beings, you know, where the original beings are basically. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because I thought about extraterrestrial, intraterrestrials, and intraterrestrials coming from inside the Earth, you know, where, you know, Earth birthed, you know, the beings from inside, and wasn't necessarily no beings that came down from outside. You know, of course there were some, but you know, again, just speaking to that a little bit. Now, this part right here, where basically they already have businesses and places of businesses, or buildings, I should say, on higher dimensions within this reality. So as I was laying there on the beach, I caught the vibe of like I could hear like almost like this Men in Black type of officers, you know what I'm saying, where they was talking to me, and it's always this vibe where like it's like a vibe of you being acknowledged, but not necessarily being in the way, but like two of the workers at this place kind of look at me like, hey, like, you know, like they seen me. So say for instance, somebody's on the 6th dimension and I'm on 3D, but I'm moving into that dimension. They could see me, you know, realizing that I'm, you know, seeing them. Like we're kind of acknowledging each other in essence, you know, being on that level. But basically, I felt like I was outside of. So again, like how it's the Ellis Island, I felt like I was outside of like a 6-dimensional hotel resort, you know, and like a little check-in spot, you know what I'm saying, like where different beings, you know, were coming into, and I could feel around me that they have like, so picture how some of these buildings look in Dubai that have this futuristic vibe to it. Like it was like that, but just again like on the etheric dimension, or on a high dimension, to where it wasn't physically forming, you know, to my physical eye, to my 3D eyes, but my mind's eye could see and feel like this, you know, this just big resort, you know, around me, and basically let me know that like too, that people are creating, you know, again, businesses and buildings on the higher dimensions already, you know. And you would ask how you would do that. What I caught, you know, the download information I caught from it was that you know, whether you're visiting through the astral planes, you know, again, that's why it's so important. Dan Winters will speak to this a lot too, like group lucid dreaming, or you know, or like group astral traveling. But if we get a group of people together to constantly go in the astral planes, or go to you know, to the higher dimensions, and you know, work on something, we could build something within those higher dimensions and actually go to it and interface with it, you know what I'm saying? So you could build say for instance a hotel resort where it's right. So say for instance, like how I'm around these buildings, they could have a whole resort, you know what I'm saying, within this area, you know what I'm saying, but you gotta tap into those higher dimensions to, you know, interface with it and deal with it. But definitely felt that vibe. So like the vibe of them having, again, like places of business is in the higher dimensions in essence. And I'm gonna read from my thing. Basically feel that in the 6th dimension is basically going simultaneously. Yep, of course, going on simultaneously with, you know, with the 3D constructs that's going on. There's also the high vibrations going on as well. And I think this little part, I'm speaking back to what I kind of spoke on already, but I was like, I could feel a Men in Black type of vibe where I was basically outside or inside the headquarters of a building that was like a building, like a boarding building. So how I say like Venice is like Ellis Island, I could feel like a bunch of beings coming from like like kind of like a being just getting off of their little aircraft, out of their little Merkaba, out of their little spaceship or whatever, and like getting down to earth and like, all right, like now it's time to do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I could feel that vibe very strongly, and rightfully so, because I think about all the different people, like the energy that Venice has, and then the different people that's there, and the energy. So say for instance, like how we all got different beings attached to us. I'm pretty sure, if somebody, which I could feel it myself and look like, I have ancestors and different beings, right around me. So if a bunch of people that's on that level is in one certain area, then there's going to be a lot of different beings, interfacing with each other and coming to that certain area. You know what I'm saying? Because too, it would be easier for them to, vibe in that area, in essence, undetected. But definitely felt like a little boarding station, as well as like a little hotel resort. And I just had the little thing about, and that's funny how I was able to articulate this, but remembering how like getting to another dimension is about changing your vibrational frequency. And I kind of spoke to that earlier, like, well, again, as the acid kicking in, is making me vibrate on a frequency that's allowing me to tap into these higher dimensions, you know what I'm saying? So I'm no longer vibrating at a third dimensional frequency, and it's just like turning the dial. Like you could either go FM radio and go to a certain station, or AM radio and go to a certain station, but you tap into a certain station, and now you could interface with that frequency, And even down to like beings that kind of visit. So how you got human trafficking on on a human scale, as above so below. Everything that is done on a human level is done in other places in high dimensions, in essence. But I think about like trafficking people, like they had like this vibe of some androgynous beings, you know what I'm saying? Some beings that were kind of gave off the somewhat homosexual vibe, that was like actually like trying to come at me like on some, turning me into like their pet type of vibe, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I actually felt, and two, I also caught that whoever these beings were, they are the beings that the people that's into fashion tap into, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the fashion people, and again, this is because I got one of my brethren, deal with the fashion and deal with that vibration, but like I could feel that this being was also the being, again, that deals with fashion to a certain level, to the point where they were, this and it's gonna be probably in the future as well, but basically like they like on this other dimension, people are buying languages, as something that's trendy, or as if it's an exclusive piece of clothes. So like they got like groups of people that like, oh, we got this language, you know what I'm saying? We talk like this, and they actually like, it's like a certain, like almost like an app or a program, like in essence. The best, again, this is another thing where when it gets into these high vibrational places of these certain these certain situations where it's hard to put it into human words, you know what I'm saying? But think of it like buying a certain like little app or something, in essence, where these group of beings all tapped into this certain, say for instance, like where they got a certain chip or something where they tap into this different language and other people can't tap into it, and it's like the new cool language to be talking in or whatever. That was like the vibe, and I could catch that vibe, almost like that vibe, like you ain't up on this, like first like trying to woo me, so first coming at me like on some, trying to mess with me type of vibe, and then like, yeah, like y'all humans not up on this new wave of doing things, like y'all around playing with clothes and stuff, we buying different languages and playing around with different languages and stuff like that. So I definitely caught that vibe, like, which was pretty cool, to see that situation of just how, on different levels. And of course, too, while I'm saying this, I just caught an insight because somebody might have a question about this. Well, universal. What if that was like something of your own, like my own psyche or something like that? But I mean, again, your own psyche or soul taps into the possibilities of all dimensions. There are all different dimensions that exist all at once. So in that instance, my being was tapping into one of those dimensions. So if you're wondering like how how you was able to know and feel that, or whatever, it's tapping into the dimensions. And again, it's about knowing, not being scared. Because again, if I was in my humanity, I'd be fearful of sharing this information with you, in the sakes of like, in the sense of like, oh man, people gonna think I'm crazy type of vibe. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's like transcend the flesh, and share information that, again, well, this is useful information moving towards where we're moving. And I already kind of spoke to this. I was like, they already have like Las Vegas style resorts in these higher dimensions, which actually exist right on side or within the 3D reality. Let's see. Oh, this is a matter of fact, and just a reality of a situation. Remember how I told you about the innerverse, and it kind of taps into maybe why this being had like a homosexual vibe or whatever, but like soy, so the diet, you know what I'm saying, what you eating, the vibration of that could be personified within your trip, within your journey. And matter of fact, the only reason, like when I think about this part right here, I'm like, the only reason why there's two reasons why I'm feeling comfortable sharing it. One, because I don't care what people think. Two, I know, dealing with my sexuality, I know what I am and what I like to deal with. And three, I really caught the download of this is, what I'm about to share with y'all was it wasn't me as much as it was a certain chemical inside of me, you know what I'm saying? But basically, like having homosexual thoughts, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I actually had a vision of kissing a man. I'm just keeping it real, like those type of things popped up. But then as they popped up, it also had a thought of like, hey, that comes from the soil, and that's important. It's like it comes from the soil that you been allowing in your diet. That's why that thought popping up in that manner. I'm like, interesting, very, very interesting. So again, feeling all vibrations that you're going within. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I said, I'm not like Bernie Mac said, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So I could share this information because I know what I know what I like, and I know what I deal with, so I don't have no problem sharing that type of information. Because again, this is about not being in ego. Like it's not identifying like, oh, that's what my identity is. Like, I'm a being on a human experience. I'm also like a scientist in the essence of like, well, I'm gonna share what I'm going through, you know what I'm saying, no matter what. So that being said, the soy in the diet could definitely like amplify again that homosexual vibe. And there's nothing against brethren and sistren, that may may be quote unquote homosexual, whatever, for lack of a better word, but that is the reality of the situation. That this the soy, whether it's the original organic soy or the one that Monsanto dealing with, it produces fetal estrogen, and it throws off the hormones, mostly for the males more than females, as far as throwing things off. I think it may still throw things off for the females as well, but for sure for the males, it amplifies a homosexual type of behavior in men. It's a fact. that's why too I feel like a lower sex drive whenever I probably had too much soy. Like, all these type of vibes come from the energy that's, it has a certain frequency and vibration is vibrating at. And when I was on my trip, being sensitive to all these vibrations, I picked up on that. You know what I'm saying? And like I was able to laugh, like, damn, like what, where that coming from? And the answer is like the soy in your diet. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta stay away from that. You know what I'm saying? To each his own. Again, on your orientation and how you interface with different beings sexually. But I know how I like to deal. And that's definitely something like, all right, damn, where that came from. It's like the soy, the phytoestrogen. All right, based on reading what I just said, LSD shines a light on every vibration that's going on within you, and in which, again, from mushrooms to the LSD to the DMT, they all do it in a somewhat of a different matter, but they all do it nonetheless, where you, some way, form, or fashion, what's going on inside of you is being personified outside of you. You know what I'm saying? Or being pushed up to, to the visualizations or to the thoughts, you know what I'm saying? So you could experience it. Where it may seem as you experience something that may be coming from outside you, but it's something within you. Mystery school students. Oh, all right. So I caught like a little download, like, well, from football to, trying to think of different things. Football. Damn, I know it's more than that. But all right, just to get into it without staying stuck on that idea, but like basically how certain situations is set up to attract. All right, so just like you got how football is set up to, it's gonna attract so certain beings that are here to, that are warriors and here to be like beings that are here to raise the vibration. You know what I'm saying? And here for that spiritual warfare of that energy of raising the vibration, that warrior energy. Say for instance, the government and higher ups, these people who like to twiddle with things. Twitter. They know that people are manifestations of of different gods, different stars, different constellations, all these different things. Or in past lives there was certain warriors or things of this nature. So they set up the situations for them to direct their energy in different places. So, if I know you, say for that warrior energy, I'm gonna set up football or this gladiator thing, so you could expend that, and instead of spending that energy towards trying to find a better way for, and again, we're speaking on that. We're here to experience life on a growth for ourselves. We're not necessarily here to save the world type of vibe, but we are here raising the vibration and not leaving things the same in this 3D vibe. So some of those people that came to help raise that vibration are being caught up in football or being too into the entertainment, Hollywood, you know what I'm saying, where these occult esoteric people in certain places know this, so they have these things set up so you could expend your energy in these places, in a place that don't really mean nothing for your soul or to help others, so your energy could kind of be wasted, quote unquote wasted. Because if you're doing something here, even if you sitting down living under the highway as a quote unquote houseless person, your energy is useful in some way, form, or fashion. You have some type of reason to be around. But again, these things are here to make, to use your energy and put it in quote unquote useless places. I think about how also like the jailhouse, is where some of the brothers who are militant, like very extremely militant with their mystery school practices. A lot of those brethren end up being in the jailhouse, you know, like going to jail on a certain type of level. Let me see why I'm actually sharing this in essence. Of course, I'm sharing it to talk about how, you know, like some of us, again, mystery school beings, where they have these certain situations for you to tap in to that energy, where you could tap into that energy of you know, being able to retain information like you're back in the mystery schools, but they'll have you doing it for some shit that's not actually, you know, raising spirit and raising the soul up, you know.
Hey, friends!
Also, the mystery schools is also low key. A little beef comes from the mystery school. So a lot of like the Atum and Atum priests, Amun and Atum priests. You know, and I always forget which one, but one of the priesthoods dealt with mushrooms, dealt more with the feminine nature. The other ones dealt more with a meditative, more logical nature. And it kind of had like a little beef in essence, and some of that, you know, that past life situations are trickling down into what's going on right now. Well, I had a situation with a brethren where, you know, he kind of had that vibe, like, oh no, my brethren, I don't do, like, kind of like trying to give off a derogatory vibe towards me. It was like, nah, I don't do the mushrooms and none of that, brethren. I tap into my own vibe, you know. And I gotta say it like that because he did have that little vibe, like trying to make me, you know, like I don't need nothing to, you know what I'm saying? And which, of course, that's just us, because he was being a reflection as far as like you know, taking that, how I say, not assumption, but all right, you see him and take psychedelics, so I guess he automatically figured that I don't meditate and tap into these energies on my own, you know what I'm saying? So he's, you know, just coming at me in that vibe, like, you know, I feel the bliss of being in my being, you know, and, you know, just kind of, but he was saying in a manner to like try to knock what I was doing, and I was tripping when he did this, so I instantly pick up the vibe of like, well, all right, we were priests on different sides of that little spectrum back in the day, and that little beef is playing out right now in our little, you know, with us interfacing with each other right now. It's kind of playing out, you know, how that little situation used to go down. Still got some more notes, dang. Let me hurry up, I'm spending all this time on this one little point. Again, LSD points out everything a person says and does, and tells the story of what's going on in the subconscious. Yep, so it amplifies, you know, you going through, so say for instance, like at one time when I was kind of getting too into my jewelry, like, you know, making the jewelry and getting too much into to the looks of it, you know, that part of my subconscious was coming out and being tested, where in which I spoke to that before, like where somebody came to me like, oh, your crystals look good, and it was a little test to see if I was gonna get like, oh yeah, they're pretty and this and that, like, you know, to get into that vibe and to just shine a light on, like, all right, watch yourself, like, because somewhere in your subconscious you kind of treating this as, you know, little objects of like vanity, and not like, you know, crystals that give off you know, a healthy vibration, you know, like it's about vanity and not about the vibration of things, you know. But yeah, and two, bringing out and I kind of made a video on this already, that I already dropped, about being authentic, you know, 100%, but you could feel, you know, just the authenticity of what people doing and saying, you know. It definitely points out hidden intentions. So like all the little stuff that people do, like people like oh, what's that smell? are you really wondering what's that smell, or are you trying to put somebody on blast for not smelling good? You know what I'm saying? Like those little small little places that we like to like have hidden agendas about, you know, the outbursts like that. Like the acid puts that on blast, and also though too, the raising vibration, what we headed to, you know, in these higher dimensions, we're not gonna be dealing with that fakeness and fraudness anymore. You know what I'm saying? Of all those little hidden slick ways of, you know, where you saying stuff but slickly intending it for it to be directed in another manner, or you know, intent, you know, like all that's about to, you know. And we all, you know, we all do this. Society does this so much and taught this to us and programmed us with it so much that even some of the most conscious people may still indirectly do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's something to, you know, pay attention to. Which I just, you know, even though you rather do better, if you don't program your subconscious to fall out of that cycle, you will continuously, you know, unconsciously make these little indirect gestures where, you know, you're saying and doing something to send a little slang or something towards somebody or something, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just being 100% real and saying what you gotta say for whatever the situation is, you know, it's still playing those little games. And also dealing with the LSD, it amplifies or kind of puts on blast the yin and yang energies, you know, the divine feminine, divine masculine energies, you know, just allowing for them to personify in different manners, so you kind of see how you're blending them in with your day in essence. I know that wasn't, you know, and I'm also trying to get deep into this information because I got a few more things to bring up. You know, of course, all your deepest, darkest, egotistical thoughts being brought back up. You know, so all your deepest, darkest, egotistical thoughts are being brought back up. So when you tripping off of acid, you know, there's no, and I always spoke to this before, like, well, you know, when you're doing it with the people, that's why you and the people you kind of tend to do like psychedelics with, y'all end up having a strong bond, you know, in some way, form, or fashion, because, you know, y'all sharing each other's thought fields, you know, fully, like, you know, so every little thought that you like recently had or had in the past, like all that is kind of coming up and popping up, and the other person is being able to read it and deal with it vividly, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm about to get into this part, like, which is I haven't seen anybody talk about, you know, but I have to bring up, because I had this situation before, but dealing with females and the sex vibration. But let's see. There's basically like the thought of sex. So like again, how the ego is like a disease, where my intentions, though my soul intentions may be pure as hell, but if I smoke a little herb, and my little old self and ego, that little thought, that the little vibration of that thought form of my old, you know, egotistical self starts to come out, regardless of me having my position of being, you know, nice and you know, being respectful or just having a certain vibe, you know, no matter how much I stand true to that, again, like the ego like a little disease. So whatever little thoughts, like little old thoughts that I used to deal with, all that'll pop back up, you know what I'm saying? Like, or the interface, you know, again, in that old manner, like how my ego used to deal with it. But I'm trying to see the thoughts brought back up as they are brought up. All right, I'm trying to see why I like wrote this, but I was like about like when those little deep dark egotistical thoughts pop up, like it's also kind of like a vibe for you to deal with them as well, like for you to not be like, oh man, like mad or tripping or scared. It's like, oh, it is what it is, like love that part of yourself as well. But to the point, let's see, the thought of sex before trips. So let's see, I knew it was going to come up during a trip, so I would let the sister know, especially if it was all right. So, and this is more than one occasion, but I had a LSD trip with one of my sisters, one of the queens, and it was her first time. And then another time with another sister where it was her first time. But I remember in both cases where leading up to the situation, like my lower nature and my egotistical thoughts had the thoughts of sex popping up, like basically like looking for some type of sexual actions to come out of us dealing with this acid. As my higher self, like, nah bro, like like chill the fuck out, like what I'm saying, like you don't want to make the make the situation uncomfortable, because another thing that that I'm conscious of is the fact that females go through that vibe of like, whether you not even dealing with psychedelics, but just alcohol, what I'm saying, we're taking some type of substance and being around a man and and having to worry about being under the influence and doing performing in sexual acts when they really didn't want to, but it was the influence of a certain chemical or whatever the case may be. So dealing with the acid trips, as my ego have that thought beforehand, and I spoke to this before about like sending apologies with your telepathic apologies, but like as those thoughts pop up, like I'm cleaning them up, like nah, like that ain't the business, we ain't looking for sex in this situation, of course. Now on some, of course I'm a human, I'm a soul on a human experience, and on my human experience, of course I would like to tap into the sexual energy. The sexual energy is a healthy thing. It also is dealing with the Kundalini energy. So of course it's a divine thing, and I'm, how can I say, I would be looking forward to it, but not in a manner where I'm like, again, the way my lower nature had the approach to it was like really like yeah, like looking for it and hoping it was happening on a level that was throwing off the energy again. But back to what I was saying. So the thought of sex before trips, I knew it was going to come up during a trip, so I would let the sister know, especially. So again, like, so before the trip, I'm like hey, I had thoughts of like having sex, like my ego had this little dream of like us having sex, like, please disregard, what I'm saying, disregard that in a manner where, like, of course if it was to happen, of course it's going to happen, but in that manner, like, not, so basically not to let them know, like, all right, of course it's me being a man, like I wouldn't mind having sex, but at the same time, my intentions with us taking this acid is not to have you on this acid so I can influence you to have sex with, what I'm saying, like, there's a difference, and to get that point across, is a very important thing, what I'm saying, especially again for our females, man, because the females, again, with the sexual nature, why a female is a being that could have orgasms up to 3 hours, like be real into the sexual part of the being, but then walking around all closed up because of the way society them threw off their sexual energy with situations, again, like what I'm talking about, like where whether it's them probably going to a party and got too drunk, or somebody did something on the drink, whatever, but I'm definitely aware that even the times without dealing with drugs, where a female will be in a situation where they feel like they're being pushed to have sex, so even though they not necessarily raped, to a certain extent they'll comply, even though they really kind of didn't want to, what I'm saying, they just felt like on some peer pressure stuff it would be the thing to do, what I'm saying, that, And again, that's something I'm aware of. That's why, again, what's funny, I got a unique spot of like where I'm cool with females on a level of, you know, being able to, you know, how can I say, for us to deal with each other sexually, but as to be like just friends, like to be in the friend zone, like what some people like to call a friend zone, but I don't see it as that. I just see it as I have a female friend. Ain't nothing wrong with having a female friend. But the reason why I'm able to be on that level because I'm conscious of these things that the female deal with. Like a lot of times that, you know, that I would, you know, have say I'm about to get off of this tangent because I realize, you know, but reason why I was able to, you know, sometimes have sex was from my reverence and respect for, you know, the female nature and to not push that situation, you know what I'm saying? Like to fall back on that. So definitely be aware of that, you know, fellas, you know, dealing with the acid, with the, you know, with the women or any psychedelics with the women, you know, with the females, you know, don't exploit that energy, you know what I'm saying? But again, I wrote that down, but, you know, spoke to it while talking. But because females have a lot of subconscious trauma due to the way sexual energy is exploited, you know, that's why, you know, again, you should kind of have that certain type of reverence and respect walking into that situation with a female, you know. So definitely. So don't be, and again, so all that little sneakiness, all that. So say for instance, if you truly were in your ego and not connecting to your higher nature, and you like, yeah, I'm really trying to, you know, be sneaky about that situation, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening because that little sneaky intention is gonna be put on blast. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, watch out for that. Oh, and just how psychedelics help people to break away from the constructs of the matrix of like labeling yourself as a certain type of race. You know, of course, that's why I like to use the word melanated, because it just feels, you know, it goes better to being a vibrational human experience, because like I just see a bodysuit that has a lot of melanin instead of actually being a black person or a white person or American or African or, you know, Native American or whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? And of course, now, nothing is wrong for some of us. Some of us are able to, you know, not, how can I say, not be pulled into the matrix, not be able to deal and interface with, say for instance, like, oh, I'm African or I'm this, and still know that they're not of the matrix, you know what I'm saying? Some people may be able to do that while still always constantly calling themselves and dealing with themselves as a certain race or something. You know, me personally, I find it difficult to do that, so that's why I always kind of fall back at, you know, like when somebody like you Rastafari, I'm like, I'm nothing. I'm like, I don't deal, you know what I'm saying? Rastafari was a part of my growth, you know what I'm saying? It's something that from my ancestry and a part of my DNA and past life is something I interface with, but I am, you know, I am a vibration on a human experience, you know what I'm saying? Nothing more, nothing less. You know, this is all little constructs we put up for ourselves. You know, it's a game that we build. If you build a game, the game could say these people would be purple, black, yellow, green, whatever. You know, it's all just a game being played on. Or I'm the purple race. I'm the leaf race. We're the leaf race from the quadrant 15 of this gap. You know what I'm saying? Like all vibrations. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we do have a uniqueness to our experience. Of course, that's why it manifests on a super low. Again, the Malkut level, on the root chakra, physical nature, you know what I'm saying, on the lowest vibration, you know, of expressing ourselves. It do turn into races and, you know, ethnicities or whatever the case may be, because on a higher scale, we do have a uniqueness to our vibration, you know, well, we may be from different star constellations, and then different star constellations have, you know, a certain place that it's in an area of, you know, so it does have that vibe in essence. But again, you know, just helps to point out that, you know, you're vibrational human experience, and you're not like again the construct of whatever race, you know, whatever that you seem to relate to. That's why a lot of people, matter of fact, especially in the melanated or black community, you know what I'm saying, for my quote unquote hood brethren and sister, and you know, reason why they scared of psychedelics, because, you know, their ego is scared of it. They can no longer be the identity that they identify with, you know what I'm saying, if they take psychedelics. So that's why, you know, a lot of people don't, you know, in those situations don't take psychedelics, you know. You can no longer be so-and-so from the hood that's known for selling all the work and the bricks, and, you know, you can no longer be all these different things, you know, once you find out that you are more than that, you know what I'm saying. So that's why a lot of people run from psychedelics. That's why you know, it changed the world so rapidly for everybody to tap into that energy. And I was talking about how the melanin of the earthly body. So again, speaking on melanin, and that, because melanin is like a carbon, and you know, it's like just like dealing with elements or something. So it's not a identity as much as it is like a certain substance or material, you know what I'm saying? That's why I like to use, you know, that word and interface with that more, because it's less of a identity, you know what I'm saying? But like how the personification of as above so below, just like how we got melanin in our body, the melanated people on earth is like the melanin for the earth body, you know what I'm saying? And to a certain extent crystal quartz as well, because I did a video about that a while back. Crystal quartz is to earth as chlorophyll is to plants, as melanin is to people, you know what I'm saying? Which to a certain extent chlorophyll for some plants, and then like when you got the fungi group, but you know, they actually have melanin in them as well, like the chaga, you know, it's not dealing with chlorophyll but melanin itself as well. But the melanin of the earthly body lacks a connection, you know, and of course we're gaining a connection, you know what I'm saying. But again, back to the no psychedelics, you know what I'm saying, the traumatization, you know what I'm saying, of all the different, you know, whether it's slavery, all these different things of giving into those vibes, and then the harmful foods, you know. So again, just like as above so below, when I eat harmful foods, the melanin in my body is going to react on such a strong level where it's going to really throw me off. Or like melanin is like a blessing and a curse to extent, for lack of a better word, where, you know, it could either, you know, pick up your vibrations and have you with a stronger connection, or could it really take you away strongly from your connection, you know, either one, you know. And like I think about the music vibrations, you know, basically influencing the, you know, music transcends everything. And, you know, with the hip-hop being one of the strongest influence, you know, again, that body of melanin, you know, influences. So if the body of melanin is speaking to shoot a motherfucker in his face, and, you know, pop a molly in the, I'm sipping drink every day, you know what I'm saying. And much love to all my brethren that, you know, brethren and sisters, everybody who make music or did, you know what I'm saying, to each his own on that level. But again, the as above so below, that's the state, you know what I'm saying, that we trying to, and again, that's why I like things speak into existence. So I don't want to say that's the state that we're fully in, but to just really that's the state that we're working on moving out of, you know what I'm saying, to get the melanin within this earthly body to get more in a high vibration, so, you know, the earthly body could be in a better place health-wise, you know. That's why things are thrown off in essence, you know. The melanin in the body, if it's laying dormant, you know, like again, like some of the brethren and sisters, you know, who don't know what a chakra is, not tapping into these energies, stuff like that, then the earthly situation kind of stays in a, more dormant. So the more people, the more the melanated people, or more people tap into their melanin. So that means the people who don't visibly have melanin, that tap into their neuromelanin, but tapping into that melanin, help change the state of this whole earthly body, as above, so below. That's basically it. I think I'm on my last little note, y'all. I knew this video was probably gonna be about an hour long. Thank y'all for those of y'all who still here. In which, if you ever notice, this is like one of the best ways to just share and tap into information anyway. It's like to share and link, because it allows for me to channel more. Like, that's why I don't really like those little snippets or little quick information. Like, there's a little thought I grasp on to right quick, and be able to deliver. But the real deep information is when I'm allowed to kind of just talk and let things flow. And as I'm flowing on certain subjects, I'll get like little channels as I'm talking, which you've seen me do so. Making sure I'm trying to read this because I know it's something interesting, but I don't trying to comprehend it. Again, back to me reading my writing and so the deepness of the science on like trying to like how these quote unquote oppressing people, these people that's trying to keep people unawoke, how they, matter of fact, again, go check out Gil Scott Heron little album called Free Will, and they got that little song called Day and Night. It was really like a poem. He's just talking about like how the government and oppressors, the white supremacists, so to speak, that vibe, like, of trying to, like, day and night, they trying to find some way to throw you off. But like the magic behind knowing like the vibrations of everything. So say for instance, thinking of the liver resonates with a certain color, with a certain planet, with a certain zodiac sign, and a certain number. So with that being said, if I'm trying to, and the liver is very important to detoxifying the body, that's why, like, one of your best, like, dealing with antioxidants and stuff like that is always either work heavily in the liver or the kidneys, but for sure the liver. But so if I'm trying to harm someone's liver, I'm gonna have, like, so say for how they have, say for instance, these chicken special. That's why I was wondering, like, because I was reading that and I was like, making sure the chicken special is on a certain day, and I'm like, wait, why I'm going with this? Well, like, so like how Popeyes, or these different little, matter of fact, not to, but it is what it is on people having unhealthy food, but these certain, like, greasy foods or foods that may be harmful to your liver, they'll have a special on these foods on the day that resonates, like, say for instance, on the day that your liver may be at its weakest, or your liver may be open to attack or something, but whatever day, like the day and the time and all that, so say for instance, if your liver, if our livers resonated with Jupiter, and I think Jupiter resonates with Thor, if I'm not mistaken. So that means they would make that special on Thursday. Like, it would be on Thursday to to attack the energy dealing with that certain organ. But it's just that the science goes down that deep on how to, like, how they trying to harm the body. Matter of fact, that's why we got to go that deep to find ways to help our body. a lot of us want to be lazy about this situation, but the people who's trying to harm you is not being lazy about trying to harm you. So that's something to think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be, to each his own. Because I've been lazy on my growth at some points, but you definitely want to be too lazy because you got people on the, and again, when I say the opposite side, that doesn't mean you're going against something. It's two sides of one coin. But there's people that don't want to see you raise your vibration. That's not being lazy about getting the information and using it against you. So all that goes in, all that science goes in to throwing off, again, the bodies in general, whether they're trying to throw off a certain chakra, As a matter of fact, the liver may resonate with the color green. So in a special, I'm gonna attract you with the color green. I'm gonna have have it on a certain day when your liver is weak, like whatever the case may be. But then last but not least, Earth is a place that is allowed to display one of the most harmonious unions between masculine and feminine principles of the universe. Like that point in the spine where Shiva and Shakti meet up. So that's another little thing, like which you always hear that, like Earth is the premier place to be, Earth is, you know what I'm saying? But it is like one of the, in this time, in this timeline right now, and in this existence, is one of the best places to bring higher vibrations to a physical level, to be expressed on a physical level, and have this type of experience on a physical level, and in a ground the masculine and feminine energies. Because again, like, I feel like, from my feeling, is like they're trying to create Earth as a place where high vibrations and lower vibrations could both interface with each other. So, well, in essence, it gets to a place where you don't even necessarily have to, like, where you could come and go as you please to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the vibration of Earth will raise to a level where you could either like tap in and just come here, or tap out, compared to where it was so 3D and lower vibrational, where high vibrational beings weren't able to even interface with this because it was just too much of a lower vibration. So that's why Earth was in the state it was in, because high vibrations couldn't even come down and really interface. And that's why we was in a state of not even knowing, because again, we wasn't even tapping into our own higher nature. But I feel like it's gonna go to a place where where the high vibrations are gonna be integrated on a physical level more and more, to where we'll kind of just be able to come and interface with Earth and not having to go through a strenuous process as much in the past. And again, it's one of the few places where you could find a harmonious blend of so many different environments, not only for the masculine and feminine, but like they got a place for fiery beings, you go by volcanoes, for water beings, be by the water, for earthy beings, for beings of the air. It allows for different types of beings to interface. Artificial being, and that's where you see, well, maybe is it a thing for all of us to come together, like for even the beings that we feel that we're up against, like with the reptilian vibes, because it allows for them to interface here as well, where you got non-organic things and things that are, which that situation, in which I got a video I did on that too. But we'll see how that works out, as far as like the balance, and us dealing with non-organic materials, as far as like robots and all these metal like, when I say metal, but just buildings and inanimate objects, stuff like that. The reptilians interface with that, but we all have a little bit of that in it. Like, I have all of us to a certain extent have all these different energies of different star families or star beings in our DNA. Now some of us have more of a certain family in our being than other families, but at the same time, we do have a lot of us have a mixture of all those different beings, especially us who travel through a lot of different dimensions. But that's basically it. Oh, and then just the last but not least, like So I don't think I really came out on that situation to this degree, but I think I did talk about a little bit though about that LSD trip I had, where it felt like the Fed, basically exposed the federal agents that's all in that area that's kind of watching light beings, and of course, don't worry about none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we good. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody with a camera or none of that could harm you. And only being fearful of that situation will create a situation that could manifest, that could be what you could see as something bad for you. But again, it's one of the things too to just be aware of. But like I had that trip, so basically how too though, like, with all those all that, like being on the beach, I kind of got that vibe of like that episode, not say episode, but like that scene on Bad Boys too, like with Johnny Tapia being on the beach with Gabrielle Union character, and he asked her to get in the water, to see if she was a federal agent, stuff like that. But just how like the beach, other than that Ellis Island feeling, but just from the battle of like from drug dealers to FBI to light beings and like the government shield type of vibe, like all that, just all interfacing, and as above so below, just how that vibe is all going on the beach close to the water, and how that vibe plays out in nature, like where the watering hole is, where all the little beings meet up, where the predator and prey all kind of could at least agree upon, hey bro, we just all want to get some water, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that same little vibe, but talking about like how real a chess game is, where you'll have individuals sent at you because it's known that you're tripping. So say for instance, check out the on Netflix the movie, or what it's called, a show called Wormwood. It's like a documentary / show called Wormwood, talking about the government's first little times of dealing with the MK Ultra situation. With the MK Ultra techniques and what they were dealing with LSD, dealing with the MK Ultra situation. And that's another thing to be careful with, as far as like who you're around and the vibes, because somebody could tap into your psyche when you're dealing with LSD, and try to basically like on some Inception type of, well, I never really watched Inception, but some tell me like, well, like they could plant little things into your psyche in essence, you know what I'm saying? But well, say for instance, if certain people watching you and knowing you on acid or whatever, because again, it's a balance. Again, I'm being asked to share this, but I'm sharing it in the in the most, how I say, lighthearted, good feeling vibe, not being scared of none of this, because again, everything is mine. We good. We are strong. We are source. There's nothing to be scared of. You know what I'm saying? And if you do feel like an agent is out to get you or whatever, again, that's something of your own mind. That's some type of fearful vibration within yourself. But again, just to speak on it, to be careful with that situation where certain people coming up to you while you interfacing with LSD. You might want to cut certain conversations short, because some people will know that you're interfacing with a psychedelic, or especially like LSD, and try to poke a little subconscious programming into your psyche. So just be aware of that situation. Be aware. You don't have to be scared. You don't even have to be just be aware. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I have to say about that. That's basically it. Thank y'all for staying tuned through this hour and 20 minutes. And before I leave, let me say that I'm not telling anybody to take psychedelics. Show my face, I'm not telling anyone to take psychedelics. I'm not promoting anybody taking psychedelics. I'm just speaking on my own experience. And nothing is wrong with me making a YouTube video of speaking on my own experiences. Not telling nobody to do nothing, not offending anybody. I'm just sharing my, information. And I guess since YouTube may be why, I guess because I had a video taken down before, and I'm assuming that they watch the videos in order to know what I'm saying on it. So this is for you, YouTube. Here's looking at you. But that's it, y'all. But on that note, though, even though I'm not telling y'all to do these things, I know that some of y'all, it's a free will universe. You may look into tapping into these things on your own, but just make sure you do your research before you tap into any psychedelics, and always know that you are capable of tapping into these energies on your own. You know what I'm saying? It takes more work in essence, yeah, of course, but you can tap into this through certain meditative states, you know what I'm saying, and having the brain waves on certain states, certain brain, certain wavelengths, but this is all attainable through just, by yourself with your own being, but again, they do have little helpers out there that you could use, and if, that's how your being choose to, interface in this physical matrix, then, it's up to you. But again, if you happen to tap into those realms, definitely do your research and know what you're dealing with before you deal with it. But that's it. Peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Peace.